God of Dreams. Yeah, I mean, you just interviewed the director, Jurian Isabelle, and this is a low budget science fiction, and I love it so much just because of everything it stands for in terms of independent filmmaking. It's true science fiction. Just a real brief synopsis. Not too far distant future, the government has outlawed dreaming, and in doing so, to make this happen, all the citizens of the United States have to take a pill which inhibits the ability to dream. It's kind of funny, but the opening scene is two African Americans getting pulled over in a car by the cops, and they don't have drugs on them, and that's what gets them into trouble. And so everyone has to take these pills because dreaming causes rebellion, supposedly. And as the characters go along, the things get worse, where the government can now not only force you to take the drug, but execute you on spot for not taking the drug. And it kind of gets, so there's the science fiction aspect of it, this look at humanity, and then there's kind of a social aspect to it. I pointed it out, but it's a little bit ironic that that we're talking about this at a time of vaccines. Okay, that's the only time I'll use that word in this one.
No.
And I know. And then I think also the fact that now there's this rebellion that's being formed, where these rebels are creating lookalike pills and then trying to re-encourage people back to dreaming. And then there's a little bit of fantasy aspect to where you realize, what does dreaming actually do and why is it so dangerous to the government? And I just love it. It's, I think its only weaknesses are the fact that it has no budget. If someone had thrown them a couple $1 million, I think the movie, would really take off. But I think also that would take a lot of the charm away from it. It's African-American filmmakers. It's shot in Alabama, which I can't remember the last time I saw a movie filmed in Alabama. And this is the movie that why Film Thread exists. We're here to support true independent filmmakers, and this is one of those films.
Yeah, I thought it was great. The director's name, the filmmaker, is Jurian Isabelle. Okay. And he reminded me, he says Duran, like Duran. So he says everybody mispronounces his name, but no, I really like this. The science fiction aspect is talking about, today, right? And what's so funny is you say, yeah, the government's outlawed dreaming, and I'm thinking, like, what a crazy concept. But with the way things are today, who knows? Something that could almost happen. But it's interesting because we got this whole discussion, which the interview that I did with Jurian Isabelle, the director, is on the YouTube channel. I think it went up yesterday.
Yeah.
But we got this whole discussion of like what the purpose of dreaming is. And the purpose of dreaming is really to kind of work out the problems that you encounter during the day, whether they be emotional, whatever, and you kind of are working them out in your subconscious, right? That's part of what dreaming does. But also, like, if you are deprived of sleep, like how detrimental that is physically to your health, like how awful that is. So, the movie touches on a lot of really interesting, aspects and issues worthy of discussion, but also it reminded me of like a Black Mirror episode, right? Like you could see this as like an episode of Black Mirror, just the whole concept behind it. And you're right. There are aspects of it that were low budget, but like you mentioned, the charm, it's like the acting is superb in this movie because it's mostly, non-actors who are just very real. That's sort of like, to me, the secret of really just good acting, especially in a small indie movie, is don't act like you're acting. Right? Yeah. Like when you see people that are just too over the top, or it's like, that's what people in movies say, or how people in movies act, not how people act in real life. And what I liked about the film is it really showed this is how people act in real life. It's just like very matter of fact, very almost like out of a Cassavetes movie. And then there's this science fiction aspect, on top of it. So really, I want to see what this director does next. I'm really, really interested to see. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
I chatted with him just a little bit yesterday. I just kind of congratulated him on the interview, and
Mhm.
yeah, I think you know, I think we're gonna kind of talk about this over time, but you know, what is the point of the big Hollywood studios nowadays? Is that the goal that filmmakers want? Is this a true goal anymore? Do you really want to have the big studios tell your story, or you know, or more or less you tell their stories? Um, I think what I like about this is the fact that there is this freedom that he has to tell a story, whether you agree with it or not, or whether you like where the story goes. Um, you know, I just really encouraged him, just, you know, keep telling your stories.
Yeah, no, I really want to see what Jurian does next. Um, and when he has more money in his hands, because you could see definitely
Mhm.
he was hampered by the budget, but it didn't stop him from telling the story and working with the actors. He just did an amazing job. Let's go through that. We actually have like a special guest that's going to be coming on at the top of the hour here at 10 a.m. our time here on the West Coast. Special guest director to talk about his movie Big Gold Brick, which is weird, and I can't wait to talk about, because it reminds me of a movie I haven't even thought about for years, a series of movies. But we'll get
Yeah,
into
I
that.
just thought of a movie that reminded me of it.
We'll get into that. So you are right, Alan. All other Roland Emmerich movies do have some sort of romance in them. Yeah, or most movies in general, a romance B plot. I mean, it doesn't have to be, sometimes it feels forced. A lot of times, it can be organic, but it's sort of part of, the storytelling. And
Mhm.
it's weird how, like, I've noticed it, like, oh, there's no, I mean, I really noticed it in The Force Awakens. Like, traditionally, I mean, the original Star Wars movie is romantic. It's not a romance movie, but romance is a part of the original Star Wars trilogy, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well,
the
I
sort
think
of,
romance counterbalances, you know, let's take Moonfall, for example.
yeah,
Romance kind of counterbalances the emotions of the world coming to an end.
yeah.
And I think they tried to replace it with family love versus romantic love. And, you know, as much as I love my family, you know, there's something a little bit more that comes out of romance.
It's just, I wonder, like, is there some weird thing of just like, audiences don't want that anymore? I disagree. I think they
Yeah.
really want it. And what's weird is when I'll see it in a movie and go, oh, that's surprising, because we never see that anymore.
Hmm.
So let's see. Blah blah says, Chris, would you say that Studio 666 is basically a long form promo for the next Foo Fighters? Yes, I would say that. Or is it a genuine film that they happen to be in, like the old Kiss movies? I mean, I would say it's actually, I mean, based on the effort that they put in, it is definitely a genuine movie. But what's wrong with it? There is a history of bands making movies, like Head with the Monkees,
Hmm.
or Help with the Beatles. I mean, the Beatles made a bunch of movies, right? The Kiss movies. So
Sergeant
the Foo
Pepper.
Fighters, they're like, I'm gonna guess Dave Grohl is a horror fan, because he basically did his version of Evil Dead. That's effectively what it is. But yeah, let's see. Graham Robbins says, it is sad that romance isn't a part of film as it used to be. Even films like Major League, with an ensemble cast, wove in a believable romance that was consistent with the film's tone. I mean, look, this happens in real life.
Hmm.
Workplace romances evolve.
Yeah.
I just don't know why, to me, there's a lot of things wrong with the Star Wars sequels, but two of the biggest things is, one, they didn't reunite Han, Luke, and Leia to have one last adventure together. I mean, look at that Spider-Man movie, No Way
Hmm.
Home. Was that so hard
Yeah.
to unite those, the Spider-Men, and have them interact and actually have meaningful adventure and a goal, a common goal, and something to overcome? Like, that was amazing.
And
Had
they
they
all
done
had their
that with
romances. Yeah.
Yes, had they done that with Han, Luke, and Leia, it would have been amazing. The other thing missing from the Star Wars sequels was romance. I just think that, so much of wokeness is just killing modern blockbusters. And when it's not there, it's a pleasant surprise. When it's not there at all, I would say that there's nothing woke about Studio
Yeah.
666 at all.
Was there
Um,
romance in that one?
Yeah, not really. There's not, but it's also you don't really care about it in that movie.
Yeah.
It's not really necessary. We're bouncing around on the chat on topics here, but that's okay. So back to God of Dreams. So it's authoritarian government sci-fi movie like Brazil or 1984.
Yeah,
I would say similar on a low budget, right?
Mhm.
Like on a low budget. Although there's some pretty cool effects where like they do these like announcements to the citizens. The news appears on like the sides of buildings, kind of like, you know, New York City. And then everyone kind of stops and you see sort of citizens are just automatons at this point. They're just
Mhm.
living robots, right? Like, you know, not being able to dream takes away like dreaming, right? Like your ability to, you know, have a dream.